Hey everybody, this is iLad, and I would like to welcome you back to my Starmade tutorial series. In this series of fairly short videos, we're going to be exploring mostly Starmade logic systems, but also Starmade ship systems, and introducing people to the wonderful world of making really interesting crap in Starmade. Alright guys, so let's have a look at the rail system in Starmade. As far as I'm concerned, the rail system is really where a lot of Starmade's appeal comes from. I wouldn't have nearly as much fun playing this game if I couldn't make things spin or otherwise move. And so the rails are very, very worthwhile, like learning how to use them. At the most basic level, you've got your rail basic, and that's literally what this block is called. So looking at the rail basic structure, you can see that it's pretty clearly pointed in one direction. By holding down Control and using the mouse wheel, you can rotate that direction and its orientation on whichever face. Yeah? But come over here, you can see that a docked entity, like I have this little 2-block thing right here, will flow along the top surface of the rail basic in whatever direction the arrows are pointing. Easy enough, right? What I've shown you in the last video is how exactly this is controlled. This block here activates this button once the docked entity is fully engaged with it, and this block activates this button. What I haven't shown you or explained to you is what happens because of that. So this button and this button both have this entire line of rail basics selected. When the button is triggered, doesn't matter at what point in the cycle it is, when the button is triggered, it will replace all of its connected rail blocks with whatever rail block is adjacent to it. And it will copy the orientation of that exactly. Which means that if I delete this... Oh, no. Well, I just made a mistake. I'll explain that mistake later. If I have it trigger this instead... See, let's give it a few seconds, and I think it'll start running again. I hope. Nah, I made a mistake. Okay, so what happened was this. You see, this button replaces its connected rails. Well, this should not be connected with whatever's adjacent to it, right? Whatever rail block specifically is adjacent to it. And it copies the orientation exactly. So if I do something like this right here, right? Cool. So let's put it back into what it's supposed to be doing right now. There. Okay. Unfortunately, if you send that pulse from the button to a rail that something is docked to, like that one right there, when there is no rail adjacent to it, it doesn't change anything. It undocks whatever is currently sitting on top of it. So even though this looks like it's docked, it's not. Like it's just kind of hovering there. Nothing's really dislodged it from its position. And that's awkward for me because I hadn't intended on doing that. I guess this is a good time to show you one of the more interesting additions to the rail system. I still think of this as being a new thing because I started playing long before it was added to the game. But that is the pickup point. And what the pickup point does, if you get it oriented correctly, the pickup point will automatically attract any nearby undocked entity and attach it to the rail that the pickup point is adjacent to. Now, orienting these things can be tricky. Usually it works for me if, let's see, as we rotate around here, you can see that most of the faces of the block are all pointing in the same direction. Like imagine that solid horizontal line is an arrow. So most of them are pointing down, right? Only the top surface is different. So usually what I manage to get to work is if everything is aligned so that that top face, the one that's different, is oriented exactly the same as the rails that I want it to attach to, that it works. And you just saw that as soon as I placed it down, it got this little thing attached to the structure again. Now that this is docked, it's going to totally ignore the pickup point. It has no effect on undocked entities. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there because, yeah, I I may make more mistakes. Anyway, I hadn't intended to get to that yet. I'd consider these a little bit more advanced. They're kind of special purpose. We're going to stick mostly to the basics in this episode. I'll do the more advanced rail stuff later. Actually, I said I was going to leave this there. I just changed my mind. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to cut these out completely. You can do more stuff than just move things back and forth. If the last rail, like the last rail will stop it the way it's stopped right now, if there's nowhere for it to go. If there is another rail with an adjacent face, let me rephrase that. If there's another rail adjacent to it with the face in the right position, it will move the docked entity onto that, regardless of the direction that that next rail is pointing. So let's see, if I put this, nothing happens, right? Because that face is, or the rail surface is in the wrong orientation. But if I do this, it'll push it off onto that. You saw that it was pointed in this direction, so now that entity is trying to move in this direction. So let's get this doing that, and we'll get this doing that. Now we have a wonderful little loop where it's just going to travel around like that forever unless something changes. All right, there are other rails other than rail basic. We can turn things. This is a rail rotator counterclockwise, and there's a matching rail rotator clockwise. Now in this we have two arrows. We have the curvy arrow, and that reminds us which direction things are going to rotate. And we have the double pointed arrow in the middle, and that is the direction that the item is going to try to move after it rotates. So if I turn it like that, we're going to have that same loop that we had before, only this time every time it hits the rail rotator, it is going to rotate, as you see here. I'm going to go ahead and drop one in that corner. Turn off build light, because it's a little frustrating not being able to see things clearly. And now, for whatever stupid reason, we have lost our rotation. This might be a glitch that fixes itself if I reload the game, or it might not be. Oops. Let's see if we can get it back. I guess we had already lost some of the rotation just from that. Oops. Well, that was oriented wrong. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. So I'm going to take the rail, I'm going to put it oriented the way that I meant to put that one. Slap a button down next to it, link the button to the rail that I want to change, and Bob's your uncle. So now we've got our rotation back again. Well, I want to see if I can get things sorted out a little better. Go back to our rail rotator counterclockwise. If I have basic rail in between each of these, will it do the full 360 rotation? Well, just spread out over a wider loop, as it were. Oh, I totally did that wrong. Yeah. Okay, so once again, I'm going to put down a basic rail and a button. And see, here's the thing. This is what makes rails so darn powerful, is you can change back and forth between between basic rails and rotator rails. They're freely interchangeable. There we go. It's so weird that it wouldn't rotate when all four of these were like smushed up together. That is pretty bizarre. But yeah, like I say, you can swap these out. I could swap basic rail out for what we call a pickup rail. Pickup rail is non-tangible, and when you're not in build mode, as I am here, it's also invisible. So it would actually look like this thing was jumping over a gap. Basically, if I were in astronaut mode, this is what I would see right here. Which is pretty cool. Let's see, I'm not going to use the shootout rail because it's going to be a major headache. I'll do that sometime later. I can put in a rail rotator clockwise. Get that connected. There we go. And once again, we lose our rotation because apparently it really doesn't like adjacent rotator rails. That is so weird. Anyway, that's fine. There we go. Now, let me show you real quick how to create a docked entity on one of these. Let me just go ahead and put myself a new loop setup so that they don't collide with each other. A little later, I'll show you what happens when they do collide with each other. There we go. Alright, so to create a system like this, when you're building, you can, like in build mode, you can go over to the advanced build helper and you can click create docking. This is going to allow you to choose where you put the rail pickup. That's the bottom block here, not rail pickup, rail docker. That block is the only block that can attach to a rail, so you gotta have that. That's a necessity. I'm just going to pick this point right here, obviously. And then it gives you this frame, and this frame is for you to choose the ship core. And all entities other than stations and asteroids and planets must have ship cores. So that's that top block there. Once you've chosen the position of the ship core, and just for sake of being different, I'm going to set it up here because you don't have to have it attached. Then you get this arrow. You hold down the control key and use your mouse wheel, and you can change the position of the arrow. Eventually, you can get it to a point like this where forward is in the direction of the arrow. So, like, if I were to jump into this, attach some thrusters to it, and fly off, the front of the ship would be this face right here where the arrow is pointing. Right? I'm going to go ahead and right-click there. Going to ask me to name the entity that I just created. I'm just going to hit OK because I don't really care. And boom. Now if I jump into that, forward for me is still the direction of that arrow had been pointing. It's very, very useful to know how to do that. All right, let's get some collisions going on. I'll show you what happens then. Well, it appears that my timing was close enough to being right that they're not going to collide. Boom. Alright, so basically this one's just going to stop. You may see it jitter back and forth as the game engine tries to make it work, depending on the circumstances. There, you saw it jitter just a little bit, like it kind of came to a standstill. Yep. Let's see if I can quickly and easily get one of these out of this system here. Uh-oh. Didn't really think that through all the way, did I? Let's see. You know what? Rather than placing down more blocks, I'm just going to set this to work like that. Yeah, that'll work. Probably. Oh, and we're stuck again. There we go. Nice. So that's cleared up. And hopefully you understand why this one's just going back and forth. It's because this block pushes it onto this block, which pushes it right back onto this block. And once again, we've lost our rotation. That is so interesting. That cannot be intended behavior. Next thing, this is something a lot of people don't realize. Took me a while to figure it out. You don't have to have the rail docker's attachment face on the rail that you want it to travel on. I'll show you what I mean by that. You just take this one out. Do that. Over here, I'm going to put a basic rail that points down into that. Then I'm going to get two basic rails in this configuration right here. Alright, so we've got a weird thing here. This isn't actually functioning exactly the way I wanted it to. But this block pushes it into this. Since there's nowhere else that the face of the rail docker can travel, the side of it catches onto this one on the back, and that pushes it over here. But rather than pushing it all the way here, the face takes priority. So as soon as it's fully engaged with that block right there, it's going to go back in the direction it's pointing. So let me adjust our plans here. There we go. We're going to lift the face of the rail docker up off that bottom track. Yeah, just like that. Can't do the rotation. It kind of pauses and freezes while it tries and fails to do the rotation, and then it just keeps moving. So with this, you can actually get things moving in all kinds of different directions. Let's see, I could just do a regular structural block right there. Get a block in this orientation right here. See? And if you want it to go in some way where it would actually, like, there would be a collision, like, let's say I want it to go down and then over. Let's see, so I point down. Yeah. If I want it to go all the way down and then move straight over that way, you understand that this would, basically it would run into, whoops, the set of down rails that I've got right here now. This is one of the ways that our non-tangible or intangible pickup rails can come in handy. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and get these in place. I'm going to use solids for this one just so we can kind of see it. Let's see. Now, how can I make this transition? Make this transition by doing something like this. I don't actually need that block. Come on. There we go. Nope. Move this back over this direction. And drop it right there. These blocks, I'm going to have to replace some pickup rails. I'm going to go ahead and replace or get rid of that block altogether so that we should be able to rotate there. Maybe. Replace this one just to be sure we got plenty of headroom. Yeah. And then I'll finish up this path that it's on reporting down. So when I click this one into place, it should move down, engage with this, move through these pickup rails, up, over, down, back around to the starting point, rotate since I've got all the obstacles cleared out of the way here, and then do the whole loop again. At least that's what I'm hoping. Whoops. Now, how often you'll actually need to do shenanigans like this is anybody's guess. But it could happen. Oh, I need to replace these two blocks so that it can rotate over here. And the faster, the better. There we go. Yeah, so what do you think of that, eh? And heck, I don't know how this is going to screw up collision, but I could do something like this and get rotation on a whole other axis. Oh, it didn't. Weird. What stopped it, I wonder? Watch that go around again. Yeah, that's unexpected. Alright, let's see. Back to my pickup rails. I don't know what that last pause was either, actually. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for right there. Yep, okay. There we are. Wow. Okay. All right. I surprised myself. See, obviously I didn't plan all that out very much, so I didn't know it was actually going to work out like that. That's pretty sweet. Yep. Yep. So that's one of the more complicated types of things you can do with this. There's definitely more to be done. Let me go ahead and show you the last thing I think that we need to go over in this episode, and that is the rail speed controller. All right, so let's see, rail speed controller we've got right here. Rail speed controller connects to two different types of blocks, and you can orient it any way you want to. Doesn't matter. It connects to rails. It connects to pretty much all rails. Just try to make sure I've got them all selected here. Oops. Yeah. Did I miss any? I think and hope that I got them all. Right. It also connects to activation modules. Now you see, even though the speed controller is technically applying to the rail, like nothing has actually changed. By default, docked entities move across rails at 50% of the maximum speed. Maximum speed depends on a number of things. Actually, there's one more block I need to go over after I'm done with speed controller. Maximum speed depends on a number of things, including the mass of the docked entity. Man, that is so cool. I'm so happy with that. By default, it's set at 50%. I said that. So now, with nothing else attached to the system, it's still at 50%, so the speed of our movement hasn't changed. However, as soon as I attach an activation rail to it, you see it stops. I can attach more. It's still not moving. Let me go back down to 1 just for now. The speed will be set to the percentage of connected activation modules that are turned on. So right now, there's only 1 and it's off. So that's 0%, and that's our speed, is 0% speed. If I turn this on, now we're at 100% speed. And you see that it's moving a lot faster. Specifically, it's moving twice as fast. And that also is going to include the rotation that you see here. That's going to go twice as fast as well. If I plop down another one of these, now 50% of them are on. So we're back to our original speed. Now only 1/3 of them are on. We're a bit slower, 1/4. This is half the speed that we started at. But if I turn them all on again, then we're back to 100%. And in this way, you can control the speed and make variable speed across the whole track. In fact, one thing that I could do is I could say, grab a button. This is getting kind of advanced here. Well, let's see. Let me put the button right there. There, you see the button switch on there? Is that ever going to be a collision there? We'll let it go through one more cycle just to be sure. Apparently not. Apparently that's never going to be a collision. No, that's fine. Okay. That button, I'm going to run into a flip-flop. That flip-flop, I'm going to run into these activation modules. So on this cycle, it's going to go slowly. But when it activates that button again, it's going to speed up the whole animation. There we go. So that's your speed controller. And you can attach an arbitrary number of activation modules to it. And again, whatever the percentage that are turned on, that's the percentage that you're going to, or the percentage of the maximum speed that you're going to get. Alright, so now I'm in this thing. Let's see, let's attach some big heavy stuff to this. So you know about the speed that we're going right now. I'm going to do a pole on top. Then I'm going to attach, I don't know, a crap ton of stuff. Just whatever, doesn't matter. That place advanced factory on the ship, right? Let's see, lights. Why not? That's all my lights. About a ton of flip-flops. And all my storage containers. And a pile of step-on triggers. Yeah, cool. So I've got a few things on that. You see how slow that's going now? The more massive the docked entity is, the slower it moves on the rail. That makes sense, I think. So speed controller. Just go ahead and select everything. Slap on an activation module and turn that on. Alright, then now we're going at 100% speed of whatever this entity's maximum speed is on this rail. And it's still pretty darn slow, so I want to speed this up. So what we've got is this block called Rail Mass Enhancer. And immediately you see a massive improvement. Each mass enhancer will improve the speed, or rather it will reduce the effective mass of the docked entity by a set amount. If this was like a full-size ship, one would not have gotten it up to 100%, which I think is what it's running at right now. I could add 1,000 of these, and neither of these entities is going to get any faster. Right? Because there's still a maximum rail speed. But again, big difference. Going from that to that. Yeah, the heavier the thing, the more rail mass enhancers you're going to need. Just so happens that this is light enough to only need one. So that's how that works. Alright, so I think that's pretty much going to do it. I can't think of anything else that I want to go over in this video. So this was your sort of basic understanding of how rails work in Starmade. I have more stuff that I'm going to cover in an advanced Rails tutorial. So I hope y'all will stick around and come back for that. To make sure you don't miss it, you might want to hit the subscribe button. And I'd like to see you back for it for sure. So thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, consider purchasing a channel membership. We've got very, very low monthly rates, and your support in that way would be gratefully, gratefully accepted. Thank you so much for considering it. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.